Doom games have always been known for their fast-paced action. Well, most of them anyway. No, I don't mean that one, I mean the Doom RPG for mobile, but that's another video for another day. Today, I want to play Doom: The Dark Ages, but without firing any bullets. Thankfully, the game starts us off with one melee option, the Shield Bash. First impressions show that it's pretty good. Basically, you can lock onto an enemy and dash at them while blocking all damage and exploding many lesser enemies. Second impressions show that the Shield Bash is actually kinda trash. Sure, it one-shots fodder demons, but literally anything else, it barely tickles. Right now, that's not a huge issue as there simply aren't enough enemy types for it to matter. I sure hope this isn't an indicator of how the rest of the run is going to go though. Either way, I am quickly given my second weapon, the Prolapser 5000. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this one simple trick for ridding yourself of stomach pain. So, the actual melee weapons function on a charge timer. There are a couple of exceptions, but for the most part the max charges is 3, and they regenerate over time. And if this was all there was to it, the run would be way harder than it already is, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. When it max charges, it's pretty easy to take out most lesser demons. A shield bash into 3 hits will put them in a dazed state, allowing you to finish them. Unless you have no chargers, then you just have to circle them waiting patiently for a chance to strike. I spent like 3 minutes in this one room, which by itself isn't a lot, but this is a Doom game. I should have dropped into this room like a ravenous chihuahua looking at these imps like they were the last 2 bacon bits on Earth. Shortly after, we are introduced to the Pinky Riders. No wonder they're mad, that's the smallest finger. What even was that? Like, that wasn't even a joke, that was just some stupid wordplay. One of the best things about this run is that you can parry Hellsurge attacks, the green ones, which will quickly recharge your melee attacks, among other things. Long story, extremely short, in order for this run to actually work, I basically have to play the game like Sekiro.
The cultists are traitors.
Say no more, boss. Grab the blue key and open the blue door, then I am unleashed upon the battlefield. I did struggle with the Pinkies, particularly after the Riders were taken out, because now there are no more Hellsurge attacks to deflect, but more importantly, the Pinky will bite you if you're too close. I mean, obviously, but you know, I have to get close, I literally can't do anything else. Oh look, a weapon I can't use, and to be fair, even during normal play, I never use this thing. Many smash teeth later, I make it to the shore where the run promptly dies. Yeah, so there are several times in this game where you're forced into a section that will remove your ability to just Captain America your way through demons. So we're just gonna ignore it, and with that, we have reached the end of the tutorial level. Thankfully, right at the beginning of the next level, we can get a new toy, the chainsaw. Upgrade for our shield. This lets us throw it across the map. It will cut through fodder demons and get stuck in larger ones, basically CCing them for a few seconds. This is great to both lay in the damage or mage tactics away if need be. Also, the shield throw can make heated metal explode for some reason. Unfortunately, it does fuck all to not heated metal. Yeah, that's probably going to be an issue later, isn't it? Hell Knights are melee-focused enemies. They will hunt you down and try to show you the value of their $20 proctology degree, but they are easy to root with the shield throw and then just punch them in the face. Unless, of course, you know, the game decides to shove 10 of them in a very small room, but it wouldn't do that, right? Shortly after, we are introduced to the game's first upgrade currency.
Gold!
For upgrades, the first couple of tiers require gold, and after that, rubies. Fortunately, the highest upgrade material, Wraith Stones, are only used for weapons, so we don't actually have to find any of those. I buy the Retaliation Shield upgrade, which lets me cause a larger, more powerful shockwave when I parry Hellsurge attacks. Honestly, I should have went with the first upgrade for the Gauntlet, but I incorrectly rationalized that it would become obsolete as soon as I got the Flail. You know, we'll see how that goes for me. Further into the facility is our first encounter with a Mancubus. I didn't learn until later that the melee combo of the Gauntlets actually gets stronger with more hits. As such, I kinda just spammed it as fast as it came off cooldown, making this encounter significantly longer than it needed to be. I was then worried that the energy shields would be impossible to handle, but in fact, it was the opposite. They break instantly under the weight of my shield for whatever reason. At the next Sentinel Shrine, I buy Finisher for the Gauntlet, letting the final hit of my combo do more damage. Then, after collecting some nearby gold, I also get Duelist, which lets my parries increase the recharge of my melee attacks. I'm sure I don't have to tell you how welcome that is. At this point, we head outside for the final battle of the level. Things are going mostly okay. Yep, totally fine. Well, that is until a leader demon showed up. This was an unexpected issue that is entirely unwelcome. So, for the most part, the leader demons are the same as their regular counterpart, just with more health. Probably. That's not the issue though. The issue is that the shield doesn't stick to them, so it becomes much harder to handle them, especially because you're not invulnerable while meleeing things. That's right, you can and will get your ass blasted to the Stone Age if you just haphazardly start punching demons in the face. So, what's the solution? Well, clearing out all the other enemies first if you can, but after that, just keep punching and hope for the best. And after like 5 minutes, I rip the beast's heart out, increasing my maximum health, and it's on to the next level. I don't remember this episode of Gundam. So, we're in a mech, beating demons to death with our mech hands. Good, we don't violate any rules of the run. We have some standard combos, and if you can perfect dodge, you'll build up your melee meter, which can then be used to either stomp or force palm the Titans into giblets. All was going great, until about halfway through the level the game gives me a minigun that fires bullets the size of tanks. Not tank rounds, mind you, like actual tanks themselves. There's no way to drop this, so the challenge has failed once again, but I do wonder something. It gives us the machine gun for a few enemies, then we pick up the core that's going to explode, and just don't keep using the machine gun? Like, okay, I get that it ran out of ammo, so we dropped it, but hear me out. What if it didn't run out of ammo? Like, why give us a cool toy for 2 minutes? What even is the point? Sorry, nothing else happens in this level, and YouTube demands I make longer videos, so you get to hear me complain about random crap. I'm joking, obviously. Please, YouTube, I would like to eat this week. Is there anything else I can do to please you? What's that? Ask the people politely to subscribe? Yes, I understand. If you're enjoying this video and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I do take my first death here, actually. I didn't realize the enemy's shield reflects damage. In hindsight, I should have realized he did something, otherwise, why would it have the flare effect? But hey, round 2 lasted as long as I do in bed and ended the same way. So like, does no one notice this thing? I mean, surely someone would have tried to come outside and like, scrape it off the wall, right? Yes, another weapon I can't use. Thanks, game. The Pulverizer is a slow-firing weapon that shoots over a large arc in front of us. The next room is meant to show us how to actually use it, but shield throws are just as effective. Before long, we come across an armored Macubus, which normally would suck, but they fire Hell Surge attacks, so, you know, parry those until his armor is superheated, blast it off, then take him down. Then the game throws me into a very small arena with lots of angry Hell Knights. I'm not sure if the base parry causes damage to enemies. If it does, then it is theoretically possible to just turtle behind the shield the whole game, but I don't want to play that way. Also, apparently shield throw ignites explosive barrels. I don't know why, but that's probably useful information. I grab another ruby, pick up the impaler, and make demon meat soup. This fight had several pinky demons in it, but it ended up being more fun than trouble as it was just a constant barrage of projectiles to deflect. Afterwards, I buy Power Surge, which lets my shield bounce off enemies if it hits an energy shield, as well as Extended Edge, which just increases the damage range against fodder demons. Now, let's talk about an enemy that in normal gameplay is totally harmless, but here is a massive threat. No, not the Lost Souls, those are still easy. These shield fuckers. At present, I do not have a way to quickly superheat their shields, so I just have to spam Shield Bash over and over and throw as often as I can. For this isolated one, that's fine, but when it's a big battle, I just can't focus on them, but I can't ignore them either, at least they gun me down from afar. I buy Steadfast, which increases the shield's recovery time, and Harvester, which empowers a shield bash if we kill several fodder demons with a single throw. Now for the first boss, Arachnopredator. I was worried about this. He wears armor, and as you can see, my attacks don't do a whole lot. You can get behind him and mess up his fleshy bits, which will cost you extra, or you can remove the armor. Thankfully, he has a couple parryable attacks, which definitely help. And after just a few short minutes, the Vagary champion is laid to rest. On to the next level and the next run killer. We are now piloting a dragon. Why? Because dragons are badass, that's why. Honestly, the controls are pretty good. I look forward to Doom Advanced Warfare when we get to pilot space cars. As I said though, we are forced to use a machine gun strapped to its back, so, well, the run's dead. You know, for like the 4th time or something. Serious question though, so the Doomslayer is supposed to be this unstoppable demon-killing machine, right? He definitely has far above average strength and endurance, but how does that transfer to Surratt or the Atlan mechs? Like, I know for the Atlan he jacks in like it's the Matrix, but it's not like he's transferring some mythical power to it, right? It's just a mech. So, in theory, his mech in Surratt shouldn't be any more powerful than any other mech or dragon, right? My point is just, why is it that, like, the Doomslayer's vehicles are just that much better than everybody else's? Couldn't everyone pilot a mech just the same? There's no long joke here, I'm just interested in the Doom lore. Anyway, inside one of the Hellcarriers is a Tyrant, who I was at first worried about, but then I learned the secret of, stay close to force him to do any melee attacks, which are all parryable, honestly a pushover. A little further into the level, I fully upgrade my gauntlet by purchasing Jolt and Encore, which applies shock and grants a 4th attack respectively. At this point, I was starting to feel the power, so of course the game had to humble me by having this single attack from a Battle Knight obliterate me from nearly full health and half armor. He killed me shortly after. Here's something interesting. So as we just saw, this man's strong AF. I have 7 armor and 5 health. He should be able to kill me by sneezing in my direction, yet I didn't die from this attack. I wasn't sure and still am not entirely sure, but I did feel throughout this game that a lot of attacks that should kill me just didn't. I'm not sure if just having armor is what saved me, like if it gets depleted first, or if there's some, I don't know, like blue Tearstone ring mechanic at play to give the player a sense of overcoming the odds, or what. But anyway, I grab the Soul Sphere at the back of the room and proceed to kick his teeth in. The rest of the level plays out uneventfully, you know, blow up some more Hellcarriers, grab a useless weapon, shoot my shot with some Japanese movie stars, the usual. At the end though, there is an Enforcer type demon which basically just boosts the damage and health of nearby enemies. They themselves aren't special though, or to put it another way, Chainsaw Shield go brr. With the final Hellcarrier destroyed, we make our way to the Heart Chamber for the final battle of the level. Nothing too crazy, just a couple Mancubi and Pinkies, followed by a Vagary and Hell Knights. Thanks to the wide open space though, this is a non-issue, and we can proceed to the cutscene showing that King Novek has a much cooler weapon than us, and that's not fair. Why does a flashbang work on the Prince of Hell? Like, okay, he has eyes, so I guess that's why, but it seems kinda strange. Now we are in the Sentinel Stronghold, and it's kinda neat to see so many NPCs. I don't know why, but I kind of associate Doom games with just being completely alone. Anyway, I grab our next actually usable weapon, the Flail. I had incorrectly assumed this thing would replace the Gauntlet. It does have its uses, the biggest one being that it can superheat metal shields, meaning my biggest weakness is now less of an issue. The problem is, 1, it's not upgraded yet, and 2, even if it was, it recharges much slower than the Gauntlet does. I mean, sure, I can parry things to help speed it along, but you know, in the event that there just aren't things to parry, then it's just a horrible waiting game. Beyond that, I didn't realize it until later, but the shock attribute on the Gauntlet is actually insane. Either way, I ended up switching back to the Gauntlet during the first encounter. I do occasionally swap back, but it's exclusively to destroy metal shields. This is our first big battle level, where we're kinda just unleashed on a huge sprawling area with a choice of what to do. Well, I say choice, but actually all of the things need to be done, we can just do them in any order that we want to. That's gonna cost you extra. I upgrade the Flail to have reduced recharge time, which sorta helps with my earlier complaint, but it's not enough. There's another one of these Vagary demons, but it's one-on-one, and I'm not gonna lie, it kinda got boring. Imagine, Doom combat. Boring! Definitely not how I would describe it, but just... it's literally parry, 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 that's all it is. It's like I'm playing Sekiro, which I also would not describe as boring. There was another small-ish room with lots of Hell Knights, but it was big enough to more or less safely maneuver around. Honestly, at this point, I have the tools to deal with most fights that are presented. Maybe not well, but I can make do. I buy the Flail upgrade to set enemies on fire, which somehow makes them drop armor, not that I'm complaining, that's increased survivability right there, as well as Blade Master to increase the shield's saw stun duration. More CC, more CC, more CC. Okay, stop CC. We then have an encounter with a new demon leader type, the Morale Demon. This thing is invincible until you break his shield. Well, I think. I never tried attacking him directly, the game just tells you to slaughter all of his friends first, and at that point he will have lowered his guard for some real damage. Fortunately, this one was an armored Mancubus that just shot parryable projectiles at me the whole time. The idiot. Haha, got your heart! No, wait, that's not how the game goes. Eventually, I happen upon a new weapon, the Chain Shot. So this is effectively a cannonball on a chain. That's not a bullet. I did consider allowing it as it's kinda like a ranged melee weapon. In fact, at the time of writing this script, I'm not done with a run, so there is a non-zero chance I might have an encounter that I simply can't do with only melee and need to bend the rules. But for right now, I think I'll just keep it in my back pocket and only use it if I truly can't progress. I then buy the Flail upgrade that increases damage to shields and armor, and fight another Morale Demon. This one is a Pinky Rider, which again just means he is easy parry bait. With that, the level is done, and I return to within the Citadel's walls. And then a massive Titan breaks through. Game, if you're gonna say I'm an unstoppable force of nature, you gotta let me throw hands with him. Next level, the run fails once again as we are forced onto a turret. Actually, why doesn't the Doomslayer just pick this up and take it with him? Is he stupid? The Titan then makes another appearance, and he was doing great until he took a 2-ton, 3,000 gigawatt lightning arrow to the dick. That's honestly the only interesting thing that happens in this level. I mean, I guess Revenants show up? Don't lose your head there, buddy. There's a secret over here. Okay, it's not worth it. Actually, I left the room and they straight up Skyrim guarded it, saying it must have been the wind and they already forgot I was here. Which of course lets me land easy backshots with my shield that's ribbed for their pleasure. Things went normally until the final battle of the level. Just look at this, several Hell Knights with a leader Battle Knight. Normally, not something to worry about, you parry the attacks and start blasting, but I can only do half of that, and because there's no invulnerability on melee, I just have to hope I don't get hit. I did get hit though, but I am nothing if not relentless, and they are finished. I buy Engulf because upgrade is upgrade, then save King Novak in the most Doom way possible, with a really fucking big gun. Next level is the Abyssal Woods, and the introduction of these goddamn things. I hate them. They are one of the worst enemies to deal with in this run. If I have full melee charges, then I can stun them and take them out immediately, but if not, they are the worst thorn in my side in any encounter. I don't really understand the game's can recharge on Hell Surge mechanic, because it doesn't work for all attacks, and yes, surprise, I mean the Whiplash's attacks. They do have a ranged one that does it, but I rarely see that come out. And when they're slithering around like the snakes that they are, they don't get rooted from shield throw, they just suck to deal with. This opening fight very nearly killed me several times, largely thanks to the Enforcer armored Mancuba stomping around, but I managed to pull through. Second major fight, I once again found myself on the edge of death, but there is plenty of room to run around. At the end is a leader Pinky Demon. Gameplay. After a while I grabbed the grenade launcher, and I mean, technically these aren't bullets either, right? No, I shan't be tempted by technicalities. In this level's final fight, some more Hell Knights prove they are in fact the melee warriors, then it's time for the first showdown with the Agadon Hunter. I struggled real hard with this guy on my first playthrough, because if you stay far away, he puts his shield up and then does some range attacks for a while before rushing you with a shield bash. However, if you stay in melee range, he just doesn't do that, and all of his attacks are parryable. I mean, I'll take it. On to the Ancestral Forge. Not a lot happened here. I will say though, I am happy that the Gauntlet is powerful enough to end any heavy demon with a full combo. It forces me to rethink targeting priority when I know that I can immediately remove a threat from the battlefield. You know, assuming they aren't armored. Another Agadon Hunter does show me he means business, but like, Sekiro go Burr, I guess. Actually, this room right after with the 2 shield pricks and a Revenant worried me more than the Hunter. I honestly wasn't sure what to do, so I just hung back until my melee had a charge, then shield rush to flail to explode. Now Thera does some kind of magic mumbo jumbo to enhance my shield. I'm sure this is lore important, but all I care about is that now I have access to the first shield rune. It's kinda bad, honestly. Partially because of course it's unupgraded, but honestly of the 4 I think it's the weakest. Basically, anytime I parry a projectile Hell Surge attack, it'll send a shockwave in front of me, damaging all in its path. It kills fodder demons good? It's just not good. I mean, sure, it's a welcome addition over, you know, literally nothing, but it's just not particularly strong. It just works, am I right? 1 Kali Mod demon later and the level is finished. Hell? Well, that's a funny way to spell Dark Souls 2. Lore, betrayal, and a rocket launcher. Just a typical Wednesday, really. After clearing out a few enemies, I can upgrade my Ground Fissure to have increased range and cause demons to be lit on fire, drastically increasing its usefulness to me. Here's a fun thing. So I walked into this room and I see a Whiplash and an armored Arachnotron and think to myself, yeah, fuck that, and I leave. I fight a couple Mancubus outside, and when I return, all the enemies have despawned. This actually happened a different time too. When I was trying to 100% the weapon masteries, I used this level, and the enemies will just not stay spawned if you walk away from them. I don't have footage of that, but trust me, bro. The next room has a leader demon encounter, but my upgraded Fissure ability puts in good work, and it's over in minimal pain. For me, I mean the demon had mini pain. First try, Professional Demon Slayer. The final upgrade to Ground Fissure is called Mega Thrust, and you better believe it cost me extra. The second big fight of the level is, shall we say, slightly more annoying. I hate it here. Honestly, I really do hate fighting the Mancubi. They have a Hell Surge attack, but they only do it if you're close to them, which by itself is fine. The problem is that as you try to approach, they will light you on fire, then they might do one of their other attacks. Just 0 out of 10 would Super Shotgun any day. I make my way to the Atlan Power Core, and there's a Vagary trying to stop me. This arena is a little awkward to fight in, but thankfully the game doesn't throw anything aside from some fodder demons and an Arachnotron as backup. I grab the very useful core and the completely worthless Race Stone, then have one more battle to handle, but it's just a legion of medium tier demons with a couple tanks and 1 armored Arachnotron. Easy sauce, and with that, the level is over. Next is the level Hellbreaker, which starts us off in an Atlan, so we get to punching and stomping some Titan demon face in. At the end of this section though, the game decides once again that the run is invalid and gives us a shotgun that shoots the caliber equivalent of a semi-truck. I will say, the game does a pretty good job of making these massive weapons feel massive, got them punchy, juicy sound effects. After the Gundam section, we are given a new shield rune, Holy Swarm, and this is by far the most useful shield rune we will get. Why, you ask? Because it hits like a goddamn truck. It is so absurdly powerful when upgraded that it will ruin heavy demons nearly instantly and do hefty damage to super heavies. But I once again am getting a little ahead of myself. I immediately upgrade it once at the Sentinel Shrine nearby. I will say though, I'm kinda disappointed. All the other runes have cool extra effects when upgraded, but this one just summons more daggers that do increase damage. Like, alright. The penultimate fight had the potential to be a bit problematic. At a distance, the Tyrant will fire a machine gun or homing skull thing, and Arachnotrons will try to make you Swiss cheese. But I actually also had a Pinky Demon lumbering around, meaning there was also a melee threat. Fortunately, I was able to partially hide behind a wall from the first 2 and quickly dispatch the Pinky. Then I put the Arachnotron between the Tyrant and I, finishing him off before engaging in fisticuffs with the Tyrant himself. Sure glad these things are superheated by default. It would be a shame if I had to manually shoot them to warm them up. The final fight wasn't so bad. There was a Battle Knight trying to show me a good time, but I told him to stuff it, then an Agadon Hunter showed up almost as quickly as he died. Level finished, and it's on to the Sentinel Command Station. The first big encounter isn't even worth mentioning, so I won't. Then I upgrade Holy Swim to have even more daggers. The second arena had another Battle Knight that was relentless in its asking me to the medieval ball and 2 armored Arachnotrons. This is after the various other things I already had to kill. I almost died, several times, the best of which is when I thought I would be clever and push an explosive barrel into the enemies. I mean, it worked, I guess. Then a Revenant and Leader Pinky showed up, but look at this! This is why I love Holy Swarm. I didn't even touch the Revenant prior to this. It is insane. I then nearly died in this room thanks to this Enforcer boosted Whiplash, but I rip and tear good until it is done. Next, Shield Rune, and it's the Auto Turret. This thing has great single target DPS. I actually used it a lot on my main save, but it fires bullets, so that's out of the question. That's honestly the end of the level. There's another fight, but nothing happens. Oh look, Surratt here to ruin my run again. And here we get the first taste of the new Cacodemon. I like the redesign, gives them a bit of a more observer feel than just a floating meatball. At range, they will fire a triple laser that needs to be sidestepped, and then a Hell Surge beam that can be parried. Up close, they have a melee attack. Strong recommend you don't let them get close. One isn't a problem. Sure hope the game doesn't put like 4 of them together or something. That would be awkward. Ha ha! I do get pretty close to dying here, but look at the damage from Holy Swarm. Just perfect. The second portal actually did manage to kill me, but that's what lives are for. Sure would be awkward to run out of those during a difficult fight. Jane, please, I can only ignore this for so long. I then learned that if you kill a leader demon, everything else in the arena dies too, so that's nice. The antagonist of Himari Takahashi wa Okina Shokushu to Tatakau shows up to take Creed and Thera away to the Shadow Realm. We do give chase, but we're just too slow. The next level starts with a warm-up battle, nothing too dangerous, but leads to the first encounter with a Komodo demon. This guy kinda sucks. He doesn't have any projectile Hell Surge attacks, so I can't get monstrous damage in on him with Holy Swarm, but at least parrying his normal attacks will give me melee charges back. While I lay the smackdown on Lizard Brain over here, I just want to take a second to thank all my wonderful Patreons who help support the channel and keep the dream alive. Y'all rock and or roll, and I couldn't do it without you. Stay beautiful, everyone. Also, the Doomslayer really hates this boss. He just kept beating him to death over and over. Our objective in this level is to free an ancient deity. Yeah, alright, I'm down. Oh, look at this little character building interaction between the Doomslayer and Surratt. It's like they're trying to make me care about the dragon. I sure hope nothing bad happens to him. Nothing happened in the first battle, but I did have enough gold now to buy the final upgrade for Holy Swarm, meaning I can rain daggers down on my enemies like I'm casting Swords of Revealing Light on everything. I did die shortly after, but I'm not sure to what. I accidentally walked backwards off this ledge and then just died? Oh, that explains it. I patent pending Doom Smash the first Resonator to begin the resuscitation process, then hop on Surratt to make my way to the other one. A few minutes of demon killing later, I smash another, then head below for the final one, but first a new shield rune, Heaven Splinter. This calls down a bolt of lightning on the attacking demon that will stun them for a few seconds. At base, it doesn't do a lot, but thankfully I have enough gold to upgrade the range and the stun as well as the duration. I can't afford the shock rune for it yet, but I'm hoping in time this will be a suitable replacement for the Gauntlet's Jolt ability. Spoiler, it fucking won't, but hey. After destroying the third stasis resonancy thingy, I am told that God cannot free himself and, I quote, excessive ordnance is now required. I must obtain the BFC. I don't know what the C is, but I sure do know what the BF part of that means. A leader Revenant and a Komodo demon give me a run for my money, but right as I was about to die, I managed to kill the Revenant, not only restoring my health, but also killing the Komodo in the process. Now I can pick up the... What? Ballistic Force crossbow? Nah, get that out of here. Big fucking crossbow! And at last, it was time for the part of the run I was dreading. Look at this. Look at it. How in the world? That's 4 Meatwads and 5 Naked Smoes and a slew of lesser demons. How the hell am I supposed to do this melee? The Cacodemon's attacks alone cover the entire screen, and they prevent my shield from going through. But more than that, they actually stop their own green projectiles. Except only kinda? They will get caught on the field and either destroy themselves on a timer to prevent memory leaks, or if the field is destroyed, then they will fly at the speed of Surprise Enema to hit me. Through sheer force of will and 3 lives, I managed to make it to Wave 2. Then I died, which means I have to restart from the last checkpoint, which is before Wave 1, but because of the live system, I now had to somehow manage to figure out a way to handle both waves in one go. This was the part of the run where I thought about doing some legalese loopholes to make the crossbow usable. I mean, it's not a bullet, it's lightning energy thing, but the battle-hardened challenge runner in me knew I couldn't give up that easily. There had to be a strategy. And there was. First, it was to toss Heaven Splinter. That shit sucked. Holy Swarm is my forever beloved. Second, I realized that the gate didn't shut behind me so I could retreat into the previous room, and this was necessary. Here's what you do. When the fight starts, wait until the Cacodemons fire the purple laser grid, then use the slope of the room to go under them. then quickly walk back up. I try to get a cheeky hit in with my shield, don't do that. Instead, just be ready to parry as many Hell Surge attacks as you can and do your best to get as many Holy Swarm daggers to hit as many things as possible. The goal is to get the Cacodemons to fire the purple laser as high as possible so you have the most amount of room to easily walk under it. Of course, this will get harder and harder the further you are forced down the ramp. I strongly do not recommend meleeing anything because, like I said way early, you don't have invincibility on melee, so it will bite you in the ass. Just let Holy Swarm do all the heavy lifting. If you manage to clear the first wave, it's now a race against time because the second wave has Revenants which are much faster. After tricking the two new Cacodemons into firing their grids, priming them for Hell Surge attacks, you need to sprint to the base of the ramp. The Revenants will have already caught up with you. Just hope that a couple of them quickly start attacking you and you should be able to burst them down with Holy Swarm. At this point, the rest of the group is probably at the top of the stairs. I did get a bit melee happy and super lucky that I was able to parry this attack to get a bunch of imps down, but I recommend not that and just waiting for a chance to parry. At this point, the Cacodemons are probably desynced, so the best you can do is just hope for some good RNG when they shoot their attacks. With a little bit of luck, you can clear this section melee only. Don't do that, just use the crossbow. This took me just under 20 minutes to do total, a section that will literally take like 10 seconds if you do it the way the game wants you to. I wasn't even willing to risk it either. I stood up here and sniped as many demons as I could with my shield throw before jumping down. Thankfully, with that over, the rest of the level is way easier. And after scaling the prison, I press monster release and Cthulhu is free. No, I'm not joking. Now we are in the cosmic realm of the old gods or something like that. I don't know, man, this game is wild. Anyway, we are now introduced to the final super heavy demon, the Cosmic Baron. He is a relentless killing machine and will stop at nothing to end me. Too bad for him, all of his attacks are parryable. In close range, the melee ones give melee charges, and at range, it's Holy Swarm, so he's kinda just screwed, honestly. Also, did you know you can hold down the shield throw to slow down time? Because I didn't. It's honestly not that useful, but I guess it is used for assessing the situation, so there's that. We're also introduced to the Wraiths, which are just kind of annoying. They have the ability to split and shield the real cell, so you have to kill the fake one to break the shield, or you can just kill it fast enough that it doesn't do that, I guess. After swimming in some questionable liquid, we are given the final melee weapon, the Dread Mace. This thing hits like a fucking truck, but the drawback is that it can only hold one charge and has a very slow recharge time. But I'm not joking when I can say you can pretty much one-shot anything that's not a super heavy or wearing armor, and that's unupgraded. It'll have its uses, but for now the Gauntlet is still a better overall option just because of how frequently I can attack with it. The final fight of the level happens, uneventfully, then I buy Gigawatt for Heaven Splinter and Reaper for the Dread Mace. Reaper gives more health on kill, but Gigawatt applies shock to all the demons hit by it. I was really hopeful that this basically would mean I can start using the flail for scorch damage and armor drops while getting the extra shock damage, but as my spoiler pointed out earlier, that's just not the case. Mostly because by inflicting the stun, things that would melee me otherwise don't, so I can't build charges faster. Anyway, a new player skill I unlocked was actually paying attention to when enemies are properly stunned. They have a little glowing halo thing around their head, and for super heavies this is really important because it marks when I can safely get my own attacks in. Doesn't stop other enemies from third-partying me, I guess, but whatever. I collect the two relics without too much issue, then combine them into one key? Probably a key. Fight some demons and then jump through a portal to end the level. I'm gonna be completely honest, nothing interesting at all happened in this next level. I did die at one point due to backing into a demon, but other than that, it's just more shield and punch things. There was a section with 2 armored Arachnotrons in a small room, and I groaned at the idea of fighting them, or I could just, like, leave? Very not Doomslayer of me, but oh well. I buy the final 2 upgrades of the run, and then, oh hi there Cthulhu, how you doing? That's gonna cost you extra! Why are there demons inside of this monster? That's gotta be bad for the gut. I'm sorry, is that its brain in its stomach? Well, who am I to judge Eldritch anatomy? Maybe it's safer there, who knows? The objective is pretty simple. It's to remove 3 tentacles to gain access to the heart, brain, stomach thing and inflict serious damage on Cthulhu. The first 2 are pretty easy, but the third, well, it's still easy, but it's guarded by an absolute horde of enemies, basically everything the game can throw at me. But it wasn't enough to stop me. Do you know what was, though? The game crashing. Fortunately, it happened right after I finished, so there was a checkpoint and I didn't have to fight them again. Alright, let's just punch this last thing and... No, what are you doing? You're ruining the run yourself! If you or any Eldritch god you know have been diagnosed with Doomslayer, you might be entitled to death. Do you know what your reward for fighting your way out of an old god is? Stairs! I hate this prize, should have taken the mystery box. At the top, I fight my way to Thera, who, looks a little different. Is it your hair? I feel like you changed your hair. As it turns out, Thera has the soul of a wraith in her, and I don't mean the bitch baby race we've been fighting, no, wraith with a capital W. The soul of an ancient god dwells within her, and I just have to ask, how'd that get in there? Azric and his witch groupie then perform a ceremony to separate the wraith soul from Thera and put it in the heart of Argent, turning him into some super god demon, then trapping us in a mind flay foursome with some more Cthulhus. But Plot MacGuffin, the bomb in our chest that's wired to a detonator by the way, causes the mind flayers to go in reverse, head on applied directly to the forehead or something like that. Then, we get Smeagoled. So honestly, and this is just my admittedly kind of confused opinion, I don't like this. They did it. They killed the Doomslayer. Now, does he stay dead? No, of course not, but he died. I don't know if he's supposed to be unkillable lore-wise or just heavily implied to be damn near so, but like, he did. Anyway, the game now gives me Berserk, which, well, it's Berserk, faster, stronger, deadlier, and more importantly for me, infinite melee charges. Swimming in a pool of blood. That can't be sanitary. The worst part about this level is this room with these 2 Enforcer-boosted whiplashes. Fuck this room. I was on 5 health for the longest time, then seconds before my Dreadmace charge was back, I died. If only the whiplash's attacks charged melee charges, I guess. Look, the Komodo Demon's attacks charge it, so why not the whiplashes? What's the point? Whatever, I'll ignore it, I guess. The rest of the level is just demon killing, and near the end, the Doomslayer once again fails the challenge, at least this time it was comical. On the ship, I died once again, this time just to my own stupidity. Not once, but twice. Sure glad I grabbed the extra life like 3 seconds ago. Anyway, we steer the ship into the Gates of the Damned, and then are revived in a blood ritual. Honestly, I'm a bit confused on what the emotion is here. Is the Doomslayer confused on how he got back? Or is he thinking, they used evil demon magic to revive me, I should kill them, but wait, they Fran, can't kill, or what? Well, that's already behind me, back to demon killing. I died almost immediately in this level, seriously, I jumped into the pit of demons and dead. How would you like to die, Mr. Demon? Death from above? Okay, I deserve that. Also, watch this. See that? See that bullshit? My shield was broken mere frames before I tried the shield bash, so the game read it as fire. Great, thanks for making me lose the run! It's minor and I didn't hit anything, but I loaded a checkpoint anyway. One thing I love, but I'm not sure why it happens, is when melee charges don't go down so you can just fucking wail into demons. It's fun just bouncing off of them repeatedly. Unfortunately, the leader demon here is a wraith, and I was trying to Dreadmace him, but a Mancubus tanked the hit, killing me in the process. On the next try, he juked me and a regular zombie got a face full of mace. I was actually upset at this one, but still managed to pull out the win. At this point, we take to the skies and fly to the Maker ship to prepare for battle with the traitorous Bishop Creed. So, this is where the Dreadmace shines. Unless I fucking miss and hit the ad. It works the same with super heavies, but in this run, I'm not really able to do continuous damage to anything, so I gotta get single strong hits in when I can. The fight itself is honestly pretty easy. In phase 1, when he summons ads, just throw the shield, they're fodder so they die instantly. Similarly, when he does his shield thing, it gets broken with ours. And it actually does good damage to him, relatively speaking. Dodge all his projectiles and reflect his Hell Surge attack, and that's pretty much it. And phase 2 is more or less the same. Will it cost me extra for you to put that robe back on? Dodge the yellow, deflect the green, hit him when you can. He has a couple more attacks, but it's kinda like raiding, just don't stand in the thing that isn't priest heals. I was worried because I was no longer getting Holy Swarm, but I guess it's just a thing when he has his shield up. With enough pounding, Bishop Creed is down. In desperation, he tells us that if we kill Thera, then Prince Azric's power will die too, and that he can take us to her. The Doomslayer is like, nah fam, and juices his innards. You know, I'm just now wondering if I should ask Jane to paint all the blood green or something. Yeah, you right. The next level starts with a reference to The Last Airbender, then we are in an Atlan, but not any Atlan, we are in the Royal Atlan. What's the difference? This one has a cape. Also, 2 big fuck-mothering laser cannons. However, those are guns, so we can't use them. It's not hard to avoid, actually. It's the 3rd tier of Ultimate, so if we just use our Go-Go Juice before that, it's never a problem. Well, I say that, but I got a little too slap-happy and had to turn to blow the payload all over the wall. Man, I'm challenge running Doom and speed running Demonetization at the same time, aren't I? Shortly after, the game gives us a minigun anyway, so that's cool. How many fails is that at this point? Like 7? Think it'll go higher? Well, whatever. After destroying the 3rd and final Hellgate generator tower thingy, it's time for a boss battle with the old one, aka actually really just Cthulhu. It's not hard, you just punch him a few times. And then the Doomslayer will invalidate the run using the cannons by himself. Okay, well, to hell with it, when in Rome! Oh, of course I miss. That's nice. Do it 2 more times and the old one is now the dead one, and it's time to confront Azric.
As you are the only one they fear.
Ah, he said the thing! This fight is pretty easy, basically because everything he does is parryable. You don't want to be close to him when he's not staggered though, because he does do a damaging AoE. When he summons blood clones, just hit him with a shield. He'll sometimes follow it up with a ranged option, obviously parry for the Holy Swarm. For maximum damage, you can try to get the riposte ability on the Dread Mace, but sometimes his combos don't really let you do that, so it's not worth the risk in my opinion. Before long, Phase 1 is finished. He's mad because we gave him a little scratch, and so he digivolves, I guess? He has all the same moves from Phase 1, but some new ones that are modified. For example, he summons Sunday Night Toys from the ground. These can be broken with your shield. I recommend trying to take out 2 with 1 throw. Do enough damage to him and he'll stab us? I didn't expect that. But wait, what's that? Surratt has come to save the day? Oh no, the dragon I was supposed to care for is dead. Whoever could have seen that coming? Yeah, no, I didn't bond with Surratt like I did with Daisy. Sorry, devs. Now he has a really cool attack where he flies away like a little bitch, summoning his clones to attack you. But you just have to parry them, then when he lands he'll summon a wall of spikes. But surprise, some of those are parryable too and count as a ranged Hellsurge attack for that sweet Holy Swarm damage. Now his melee combos are extremely long, but still have the same pacing, so it's not an issue. Also, my game kinda bugged out. He summoned his clones, but then didn't fly away at first, instead summoning the spikes, and then the clones rushed me, then he ground pounded, but all of the clones were still there. And later on in the fight, he summoned more clones, except these ones behave like normal? I don't know. What I do know is that he took one too many Dread Maces to the face, and that's enhanced Azric down. We then proceed to rip the gem from his chest like it's a Hogyoku. Wait, did that happen, or is this one of those false memories and I'm thinking of something else? Crap, now I have to go rewatch the entirety of Bleach. Anyway, this causes an explosion and Azric escapes. But not for long. Thera is returned to, well, everything, power, life, what have you, and together we storm the gates of hell, and by together I mean she opened the door and I am on my own again. I was initially worried about this level because it kicked my ass the first playthrough. This time, it did not. I am better, faster, stronger, and the demons did not stand a chance. Especially when I have unlimited Dread Maces. With that, it's time for the final encounter, Azric and the Witch. At any point in time, one has a shield around them and acts as a support for the other main fighter. Azric is basically the same as his Phase 1 from before. All there really is to do is parry his attacks and beat him to death with the mace. After enough damage, the shield will swap. The Witch is much easier as she has parryable ranged attacks, meaning if you're in the right place, Holy Swarm will annihilate her. The rest of her moves are just bullet hell the game. Also, for whatever reason, the health in this arena constantly respawns, so if you mess up a few parries like I did, you can just run around and get more. At half health, I think, they go into Phase 2. Azric now has a bullet hell attack of his own, but it's not a problem as long as you stay at the edge of the arena and make sure to keep the Witch in view so you can see what she's doing. At 25% health, they will swap shields again, but the Witch is easier, so it doesn't matter. Once this fight is over, the final boss can begin, a 1v1 with Azric. Again. This is the same as the last fight, just without the Witch floating around. Fun fact, I died here. Twice! Oops. Thankfully, it restarts you from this phase and not the Witch phase. That would suck. On the third attempt though, he ends up trying to 1 HP and a Dream Me, but I ain't having it. In fact, just to rub salt in the wound, I finish him with a shield throw. I'm glad Cutscene Doomslayer has learned his lesson. Melee is the way to go, and with that, our job is not done because this is a prequel.